23%. That is how much your blood sugar drops in 90 minutes. Not from a new drug, not from insulin, not from anything your doctor prescribed. From something that has been sitting in your kitchen for years. And here is the part that, honestly, should make you furious. A study, published in one of the most respected nutrition journals in the world, proved this over a decade ago. Your doctor read it. Your endocrinologist read it. The American Diabetes Association, they published it. Twice. Nobody told you. And I think you already know why. There is no billing code for what I am about to show you. No patent. No prescription pad. No $400 a month refill. So here is what I am going to do. I am going to rank 7 foods. All cheap. All available at any grocery store. All proven, in clinical trials, to lower blood sugar faster than most people realize. I rank them by 3 things. Speed, how big the drop is, and how strong the published evidence is behind each one. Number 1 will shock you. It works while you sleep. But first, and this matters, you need to understand something most doctors never bother to explain. Your blood sugar? It is not just about what you eat. It is about what happens to glucose once it hits your bloodstream, where it goes, how fast it clears, and what blocks that process. See, most of these 7 foods do not just lower glucose. They fix the mechanism, the actual broken machinery that keeps glucose stuck in your blood in the first place. This is Senior Health Blog, and the truth starts now. If you believe that healthcare information should be free and accessible to every senior, not locked behind a prescription pad, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below saying, "I deserve the truth," if this resonates with you. Only the pharmaceutical executives and the people who profit from keeping you confused will not subscribe. Let us show them we see through it. All right, let me start with number 7, the one most people completely overlook, and then I will work my way up to number 1. The food that drops blood sugar 23% in 90 minutes and keeps working while you are asleep. Number 7, green tea. And I do not mean, let me be clear, I do not mean the sugar-loaded bottled stuff from the gas station. I mean real, brewed, unsweetened green tea. Or even better, matcha. There is a reason Japanese tea ceremonies have lasted 1,000 years. That earthy, slightly bitter, almost grassy taste, that is not just flavor. That is a compound called epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG for short. And it does something remarkable to your pancreas. Here is what happens. When you drink green tea with a meal, or within about 30 minutes of eating, EGCG slows down an enzyme called alpha amylase. Now, alpha amylase is the enzyme that breaks starch into glucose in your small intestine. When you slow it down, glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually. Instead of a flood, you get a trickle. The spike flattens. The crash? Gone. But, and this is the part most people miss, EGCG also activates something called AMPK. That is, the same metabolic pathway that metformin targets. The same one. Difference is, metformin does it with side effects. Green tea does it with antioxidants. A 2013 meta-analysis, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, reviewed 17 randomized controlled trials. Over 1,100 participants. The result? Green tea significantly reduced fasting blood glucose. It also lowered fasting insulin, which tells you something important. It is not just masking the number, it is improving how your body actually processes sugar, at the cellular level. Now here is the thing most health channels will not mention. After age 60, your insulin receptor sensitivity declines. Roughly 1 to 2% every year. That means your cells become more and more resistant to insulin, even if your diet stays exactly the same. Green tea's AMPK activation addresses that decline directly. It is not a cure. Nobody is saying that. But it is a daily reinforcement that your pancreas desperately needs. So here's what to do. Brew 1 cup of unsweetened green tea, loose leaf or high-quality bags, not bottled, and drink it with your largest meal. Every day. If you can handle matcha, even better. Matcha uses the whole ground leaf. That means 3 to 5 times the EGCG of regular steeped tea. 1 cup. Your biggest meal. Daily. But look, green tea is gentle. It is a helper, not a powerhouse. The next food on this list, number 6, has clinical evidence showing it reduces fasting blood sugar in type 2 diabetics. And most doctors have never once mentioned it. Number 6, fresh ginger root. Not ginger ale, not ginger snaps, not ginger candy. The raw, knobby root you walk past in the produce section without a second thought. That sharp, peppery burn when you bite into raw ginger. You know that heat? That is not random. It comes from compounds called gingerols and shogols. And what they do to your blood sugar, most people have no idea. Ginger works through 3 pathways, simultaneously. First, it increases glucose uptake into your muscle cells, without requiring additional insulin. Think about that for a second. Your muscles just absorb glucose on their own. Less sugar floating in your blood. Second, gingerols inhibit enzymes in your liver that produce excess glucose. This process is called hepatic gluconeogenesis. Fancy term, but all it means is your liver manufactures sugar even when you have not eaten anything. After 60, this process accelerates. Ginger slows it down. Third, ginger reduces inflammatory markers that directly damage your insulin receptors. Damaged receptors cannot respond to insulin signals. The communication breaks down. Ginger helps repair that communication system. 3 pathways, 1 route. A 2014 randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, that is, the gold standard of clinical research, gave type 2 diabetic patients 2 grams of ginger powder daily for 12 weeks. The ginger group? Significant reductions in fasting blood sugar. Their HbA1c, that 3-month average your doctor uses to judge your diabetes control, also improved significantly. The placebo group? No change. Same diet, same medications, same lifestyle. Only variable was ginger. Stop. Did you catch that? Same medications. They did not change anyone's prescriptions. They added 2 grams of ginger. That is less than 1 teaspoon. After 65, something happens in your body called inflammaging. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. It is not an infection. It is not something you feel. But it corrodes your insulin receptors, day after day after day. Ginger's anti-inflammatory action goes after the root cause of worsening blood sugar in seniors. Not the symptom, the cause. Grate about 1 inch of fresh ginger into hot water for a tea, or toss it into meals, stir-fries, soups, smoothies. If you use powder, 2 grams daily. That is roughly 3/4 of a teaspoon. One thing though, take it with food, not on an empty stomach. It can cause some digestive discomfort otherwise. Now, ginger is powerful, no question. But number 5 is... Honestly, this one surprised even me when I first read the research. A team at a Swedish university discovered something that changes how your liver handles glucose at the genetic level. And it grows in 3 days, on your kitchen counter. Number 5. Broccoli sprouts. Not broccoli. Not broccoli florets you steam for dinner. The tiny, 3-day-old sprouts that look like alfalfa. Most people have never even heard of them. These sprouts, barely an inch long, pale green, thin white stems, taste mildly peppery, almost like radish. That little bite? That is the compound that matters. It is called sulforaphane. And what it does to your blood sugar made international news in 2017. Sulforaphane works at the genetic level. I know that sounds dramatic, but that is literally what the study showed. It reduces the expression of genes in your liver that drive excess glucose production. Your liver is supposed to release glucose only when blood sugar drops too low. But in type 2 diabetes, the liver overproduces glucose constantly, like a faucet stuck open. Sulforaphane turns that faucet down. And this is not theory. This is not a cell study in a petri dish. This was proven in actual human patients. In 2017, a landmark study, published in Science Translational Medicine, one of the most prestigious journals in the world, tested concentrated broccoli sprout extract on 97 obese patients with type 2 diabetes. The results were striking. Patients with dysregulated blood sugar who received sulforaphane showed a significant reduction in fasting glucose compared to placebo. But here is the key finding, the one that made headlines. The researchers specifically noted that sulforaphane reduces hepatic glucose production through a completely different pathway than metformin. Let me say that again, because it matters. Sulforaphane targets a glucose production pathway in your liver that metformin leaves completely untreated. You could be taking metformin every day and still have this pathway running unchecked. Nobody told you. After age 60, your liver's glucose regulation deteriorates. Hepatic glucose output increases year after year. This is one of the main reasons your fasting blood sugar creeps up, even when your diet has not changed at all. Sulforaphane addresses exactly this age-related dysfunction. You can grow these at home, in a jar. For pennies, soak broccoli seeds overnight. Drain. Rinse twice a day. Harvest in 3 to 5 days. Eat a small handful, about 100 grams, raw. On salads, on sandwiches, blend it into smoothies. One critical thing: do not cook them. Heat destroys sulforaphane. They must be raw. Broccoli sprouts work at the gene level. That is impressive. But number 4. Number 4 has clinical evidence showing it stopped prediabetes from becoming type 2 diabetes. 100% of the placebo group progressed. The treatment group, 0%. The study lasted 9 months. And the treatment was a golden spice you probably already own. Number 4, turmeric. Specifically, the curcumin extract inside turmeric. That deep, golden orange powder that stains your fingers, your cutting board, everything it touches. That stain? That is your medicine. The stubborn golden color. The one that will not wash out of a white shirt no matter what you do. That comes from curcumin. And the same chemical property that makes it cling to fabric is what makes it cling to inflammatory molecules inside your cells and neutralize them. Curcumin works primarily by calming chronic inflammation in your pancreatic beta cells. Those are the cells that produce insulin. When they are inflamed, and after decades of blood sugar fluctuations, they malfunction. They either underproduce insulin or produce it too late. Curcumin calms that inflammation, lets your beta cells function the way they were designed to. But it also improves insulin sensitivity at the receptor level. Better signaling between insulin and your cells, which means less insulin is needed to clear the same amount of glucose. In 2012, a study published in Diabetes Care, that is the official journal of the American Diabetes Association, followed 240 pre-diabetic adults for 9 months. Half got curcumin capsules, half got placebo. After 9 months, in the placebo group, 16.4% progressed to full type 2 diabetes. In the curcumin group, 0. Not one single person progressed to diabetes. 0%. The curcumin group also showed improved beta cell function, reduced insulin resistance, lower inflammatory markers, all without a single diabetes medication. I want you to sit with that for a moment. 240 people, same starting point, pre-diabetes, same time frame, 9 months. One group takes a golden spice extract. The other takes nothing. In the group that took nothing, 1 in 6 became diabetic. In the curcumin group, nobody did. And this was published, let me stress this, in the American Diabetes Association's own journal. Their own journal. So, why is your doctor not prescribing this? Because curcumin is not a drug. It is a spice. It cannot be patented, cannot be marked up 3,000%. And there is no pharmaceutical sales representative walking into your doctor's office with free lunches and branded pens, pushing curcumin. There just is not. If that makes you angry, hit that like button right now. Not for me. For every senior who walked into their doctor's office, was told they have prediabetes, and was sent home with nothing. A pamphlet, a follow-up in 6 months. That was it. The pharmaceutical industry tracks these videos. They monitor engagement. Every like sends a message. We found the research you hoped we would never see. After 60, your pancreatic beta cells lose function at an accelerating rate. This is the reason prediabetes converts to type 2 diabetes more quickly in seniors than in younger adults. The timeline compresses. Curcumin's beta cell protection is not just helpful, it is targeted directly at the mechanism driving age-related diabetes progression. Now, important detail here. Turmeric powder from your spice rack, only about 3% curcumin. That is not enough. You either need a curcumin supplement standardized to 95% curcuminoids, or you need to consume turmeric with 2 specific things. 1, black pepper. It contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2, a source of fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble. Without fat, most of it passes right through you. A golden milk made with turmeric, black pepper, and coconut oil or ghee, that delivers curcumin in an absorbable form. Simple, cheap, effective. That was number 4. And if preventing diabetes progression sounds impressive, wait until you hear number 3. This one has been used for 3,000 years. In India, in Egypt. A meta-analysis of 10 clinical trials showed it reduces fasting blood sugar by an average of 17 milligrams per deciliter. It costs less than $1 a day, and it smells like maple syrup. Number 3, fenugreek seeds, small, golden brown, slightly bitter, and I am going to be honest with you. These seeds have more clinical evidence behind them than some FDA-approved diabetes medications. Most Americans never heard of them. Open a bag of fenugreek seeds, and the first thing you notice is that smell. Maple syrup. Warm, sweet, almost like pancakes on a Sunday morning. That aroma comes from a compound called sotolone, the same compound that actually flavors maple syrup. The taste, though? Bitter. And in that bitterness is where the medicine lives. Fenugreek contains a compound called 4-hydroxyazoleucine. It is a modified amino acid found in high concentrations, almost exclusively in fenugreek. Here is what makes it special. This amino acid directly stimulates insulin secretion from your beta cells, but only when blood glucose is elevated. Only then. That distinction is critical. It does not force your pancreas to dump insulin when your sugar is normal. It responds proportionally, which means the risk of hypoglycemia, dangerously low blood sugar, is minimal, compared to sulfonylurea drugs that force insulin release, regardless of what your glucose is doing. That is a massive difference. But there is a second mechanism. Fenugreek seeds are extremely high in soluble fiber. When you soak them overnight, they develop this gel-like coating, almost slimy. That gel slows gastric emptying, meaning food leaves your stomach more slowly, and glucose trickles into your bloodstream instead of flooding it. 2 mechanisms. One slows glucose absorption. The other helps your body clear it. Together, they flatten the spike and shorten the recovery. A 2014 meta-analysis published in Nutrition Journal reviewed 10 clinical trials on fenugreek and blood sugar control. Pooled results? Fenugreek reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 17.64 milligrams per deciliter. It also significantly improved HbA1c, the marker your doctor uses to judge your 3-month average. 17 milligrams per deciliter. For a senior whose fasting glucose runs 140, that brings it down to about 122. From a seed. That costs less than $1 a day. Stop. Think about that for a second. Your doctor adjusts your metformin dose to try to achieve that same kind of drop. Fenugreek does it alongside your medication, through a completely different mechanism, with virtually no side effects. Here is something interesting. After 65, your gastric emptying rate naturally slows. In most situations, that is a nuisance. It makes you feel full too quickly, you lose appetite. But for blood sugar control, slower gastric emptying is actually an advantage.
Fenugreek's soluble fiber amplifies that natural slowing. It works with your aging digestive system, not against it. Younger adults do not get this synergistic benefit. You do. Soak 1 tablespoon of fenugreek seeds in water overnight. In the morning, drink the water and eat the softened seeds. The soaking activates the soluble fiber and reduces the bitterness. Take it daily. First thing in the morning. Empty stomach, 30 minutes before breakfast. If the texture bothers you, grind the seeds into powder and add half a teaspoon to warm water. Either way works. That was number 3. Fenugreek. Now. The next 2 are where this list becomes something your endocrinologist should have handed you, printed out, stapled, highlighted, the day you were diagnosed. Number 2 has over a dozen clinical trials. A meta-analysis confirming it reduces fasting blood sugar by up to 29%. And it has been sitting in your spice cabinet this entire time. Number 2, cinnamon.
But, and this is important, not the cinnamon you think. See, there are 2 types sold in every grocery store, and one of them could damage your liver if you use it daily. The one I am talking about is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon. And the clinical evidence on this spice? It is so strong, it should embarrass every endocrinologist who has never mentioned it. Ceylon cinnamon is lighter than its common counterpart, a soft tan, almost sandy, with this delicate, complex sweetness that the other type just does not have. The bark is thin, papery, rolled into tight little scrolls that crumble easily between your fingers. That fragile texture tells you something important about the chemistry. It is low in coumarin, the toxic compound that makes the cheap variety dangerous at high doses. Cinnamon contains a polyphenol, a plant compound called MHCP, methyl hydroxychalcone polymer. Complicated name, simple function. MHCP mimics insulin. It binds to the same receptor sites on your cells that insulin does. And it opens glucose channels on its own, independently. That means glucose can enter your cells even when your natural insulin response is not working properly. But MHCP does something else. It increases insulin receptor sensitivity by activating an enzyme called insulin receptor kinase. What does that mean in plain English? It means your existing insulin, however little your pancreas still produces, becomes more effective. You do not need more insulin. You need the insulin you already have to work better. Cinnamon makes that happen. In 2003, a landmark study published in Diabetes Care, the American Diabetes Association's journal, gave 60 people with type 2 diabetes either 1, 3, or 6 grams of cinnamon daily, or a placebo. After 40 days, all 3 cinnamon groups, every dose, showed significant reductions in fasting blood glucose. The range? 18 to 29%. Let me say that again. At the lowest dose. 1 gram of cinnamon per day, that is less than half a teaspoon, reduced fasting blood sugar by up to 29% in 40 days. Then, in 2013, a meta-analysis published in Annals of Family Medicine reviewed 10 randomized controlled trials and confirmed it. Cinnamon intake significantly reduces fasting glucose levels. Across all the studies, the average reduction was about 25 milligrams per deciliter. Now I want you to think about something. You have sat in your doctor's office. You have been told your HbA1c is creeping up. You have been told you need to increase your medication, maybe add a second drug, maybe start injectable insulin. At any point during that conversation, any point at all, did your doctor look you in the eye and say, "Have you tried half a teaspoon of cinnamon with your morning oatmeal?" No, they did not. And they will not. Because medical school devotes exactly 0 hours to culinary interventions for glycemic control. Not because the science does not exist. I just showed you the science, published in their own journals. But because the pharmaceutical industry funds 60% of continuing medical education in this country. And the company paying for your doctor's lunch is not selling cinnamon. You are watching this right now because you went looking for the truth yourself. You did not wait for permission. You did not wait for a referral. You searched. You found this. And that makes you exactly the kind of person this channel exists for. After 65, insulin receptor density on your muscle and fat cells decreases. You have fewer doors for glucose to enter. Cinnamon's MHCP does not create new doors, but it makes the ones you still have open more easily and stay open longer. For aging insulin receptors, that is the difference between glucose sitting in your blood for 4 hours and clearing in 2. Use Ceylon cinnamon only. Check the label. If it says Cinnamomum verum or Ceylon, safe. If it says Cinnamomum cassia or just cinnamon with no specification, put it back. Walk away. Cassia contains roughly 250 times more coumarin than Ceylon. Daily use can damage your liver. This is not a minor distinction. It matters. 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon daily. Sprinkle it on oatmeal. Stir it into coffee. Mix it into yogurt. Blend it into a smoothie. Take it with a meal. That gives you the best effect on post-meal glucose. That was number 2. Up to 29% reduction in fasting blood sugar, from less than half a teaspoon. But here is why it is not number 1. Because number 1 does something cinnamon cannot do. It drops blood sugar 23% within 90 minutes of a single meal. And this is the part that should completely rewrite your evening routine. It keeps working while you sleep, lowering your fasting glucose before you even open your eyes in the morning. This is the one they really do not want you to know about. Number 1. Raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons, before a meal or before bed. And the evidence. Let me be very clear about this. The evidence is not preliminary. It is not weak. It is not mixed. It is definitive. Multiple peer-reviewed studies, replicated results, published in the American Diabetes Association's own journal. Twice. You know that sharp, sour, almost eye-watering smell when you unscrew the cap? That pungent acidity, the kind that makes your whole face tighten up? That is acetic acid. 5% concentration in standard apple cider vinegar. And that simple, organic acid does something to your glucose metabolism that no pharmaceutical company can replicate, patent, or sell back to you at a markup. Acetic acid works through 3 distinct mechanisms simultaneously. First, it inhibits disaccharidases, the enzymes in your small intestine that break complex carbs into simple glucose. When you suppress those enzymes, carbs from your meal break down slowly. Glucose enters your blood at a trickle, not a flood. Second, acetic acid increases glucose uptake into your skeletal muscle. It activates AMPK, same pathway as metformin, same pathway as green tea, but faster. Within minutes of reaching your bloodstream, it signals your muscles to start absorbing glucose, even when insulin signaling is impaired. Third, and this is what makes it number 1, acetic acid suppresses hepatic gluconeogenesis. That is the process where your liver manufactures brand new glucose from non-sugar sources while you sleep. Remember what I said about broccoli sprouts targeting liver glucose production? Apple cider vinegar does the same thing. Different pathway, same result. And it does it overnight, while you are unconscious. While your liver would normally be pumping sugar into your empty bloodstream for 8 hours straight. 3 mechanisms. Slows absorption, accelerates clearance, stops overnight production. No diabetes medication on the market addresses all 3 simultaneously. Not one. Here is where this becomes undeniable. Study 1. Published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2005. Researchers gave healthy subjects vinegar alongside a high-carbohydrate meal. Postprandial blood glucose, that is the spike after eating, dropped 23 to 30% within 90 minutes. Insulin response was also significantly lower, and they confirmed a clear dose-response relationship. More acetic acid, greater reduction. 23%, 90 minutes, from vinegar. Study 2, published in Diabetes Care, 2004, the ADA's own journal. They tested vinegar in 3 groups: people with type 2 diabetes, people with insulin resistance, and healthy controls. In the insulin-resistant group, vinegar improved postprandial insulin sensitivity by 34%. In the type 2 diabetes group, 19%. Both groups showed significantly lower glucose after meals. The researchers' own conclusion, and I am paraphrasing only slightly, was that vinegar's effect on carbohydrate metabolism was comparable to pharmaceutical interventions. Comparable to pharmaceutical interventions. Their words, their journal. Study 3, and this is the one that proves the title of this video. Published in Diabetes Care, 2007. Researchers gave type 2 diabetic patients 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar at bedtime, right before sleep. Next morning, waking fasting glucose was significantly lower than the control group, specifically a 4 to 6% reduction in fasting glucose by morning. Now, that might sound small, until you realize these patients were already on diabetes medication. The vinegar reduced their glucose beyond what the medication was already achieving. It stacked on top. Stop. Let me make sure you understand what just happened. A study, published in the American Diabetes Association's own journal, proved that 2 tablespoons of vinegar at bedtime reduces fasting blood sugar in type 2 diabetics, on top of their existing medication. The cost of apple cider vinegar is approximately 3 cents per serving. 3 cents. The average monthly cost of diabetes medication in the United States? $400 to $1,000, depending on the drug, depending on your insurance. The global diabetes drug market generates $47 billion annually. 3 cents versus $47 billion. Now you understand why your doctor never mentioned this. After 65, overnight liver glucose production increases. This is the primary reason your fasting blood sugar climbs year after year, even when your evening meals are reasonable. You are doing everything right at dinner, and your liver undoes it all by morning. Your liver does not shut off at night. It ramps up. Apple cider vinegar's ability to suppress that overnight process is especially relevant to you, because this age-related liver dysfunction is exactly the problem it targets. Every morning, you wake up to a fasting glucose of 130, 140, 150, and your doctor says increase the medication. There is a mechanism in your liver that vinegar addresses, and your medication may not. Here is the exact protocol. Before meals, dilute 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in 8 ounces of water. Drink it 15 to 20 minutes before your largest carbohydrate-containing meal. This gets the enzyme suppression and glucose uptake working before the carbs even hit your bloodstream. Before bed, dilute 2 tablespoons in 8 ounces of water. Drink it within 30 minutes of going to sleep. This activates the overnight liver suppression. Critical, and I mean this, always dilute. Undiluted vinegar will damage your tooth enamel and can irritate your esophagus badly. Use a straw to minimize contact with your teeth. Rinse your mouth with plain water after. Look for raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. That is the cloudy strand of proteins and enzymes visible in the bottle. That form contains the full spectrum of acetic acid plus the beneficial compounds. Now, before you rush to your kitchen and start using all 7 of these at once, stop. Because there are combinations on this list that can be dangerous. Combinations your doctor does not know to warn you about, because they never recommended any of these foods in the first place. This section is the most important part of this entire video. Do not skip it. Combination number 1. Do not combine apple cider vinegar with metformin if you have kidney issues. Not without medical supervision. Here is why. Both lower blood potassium levels. Together, they can cause hypokalemia, dangerously low potassium, which leads to muscle weakness, cramping, and in severe cases, heart arrhythmia. If you take metformin, start with 1 tablespoon of ACV instead of 2. Monitor how you feel, and tell your doctor what you are doing. Combination number 2. Do not use cassia cinnamon daily if you take warfarin or other blood thinners. Cassia, the cheap, common variety, contains high levels of coumarin, which has blood-thinning properties on its own. Combined with anticoagulant medication, you are creating excessive bleeding risk. This is exactly why I stressed Ceylon cinnamon earlier. Ceylon contains negligible coumarin, no bleeding risk. Combination number 3. Do not combine fenugreek with sulfonylurea drugs. That includes glipizide, glyburide, glimepiride. Here is the problem. Fenugreek stimulates insulin secretion. Sulfonylureas stimulate insulin secretion. Together, they can push your blood sugar dangerously low. Hypoglycemia in seniors is a medical emergency. It causes falls, confusion, loss of consciousness. If you take sulfonylureas, talk to your doctor before adding fenugreek. No exceptions. Combination number 4. Do not take turmeric or curcumin supplements within 2 hours of your diabetes medication. Curcumin slows the enzyme that metabolizes certain drugs, which means your medication stays in your system longer than intended and can amplify its effects beyond what was prescribed. Separate them by at least 2 hours. Simple fix, but you need to know about it. I told you this section was critical. These are not theoretical risks. These are documented interactions that happen when food-based interventions stack with pharmaceutical ones. The reason your doctor does not warn you is because your doctor does not know you are using these foods therapeutically. So tell them. Bring this list. Show them the studies. You are not going behind their back. You are going ahead of them. All right, let me give you the exact protocol. No overwhelm, no confusion, step by step. Step 1. Day 1. Start today. 1 change. Tonight before bed, dilute 2 tablespoons of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in 8 ounces of water. Drink it. Go to sleep. Tomorrow morning, check your fasting blood sugar before eating anything. Write that number down. Do this for 7 days straight. Compare day 7 to day 1. Step 2. Day 3. Add half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon to your morning meal. Oatmeal, yogurt, coffee, whatever you eat first, daily, in addition to your evening ACV. Step 3. Day 7. Add fenugreek. Soak 1 tablespoon of seeds overnight. Morning, drink the water, eat the seeds. 30 minutes before breakfast. Step 4. Week 2. If you are tolerating all 3 without any issues, add 1 cup of unsweetened green tea with your largest meal. The rule: 1 change at a time, 3 days apart. This way, if anything causes digestive discomfort, you know exactly which food caused it. You are not guessing. You are not overwhelmed. This is how a responsible protocol works. Not everything at once. Layered, monitored, controlled. Check your fasting blood sugar every morning. Write it down. After 30 days, take that log to your doctor. Show them the numbers. Let the data speak. You are not replacing your medication. You are not going against your doctor. You are adding evidence-based, peer-reviewed, clinically proven food-based interventions to support what your medication is already doing. That is not radical. That is responsible. That is exactly what a healthcare system that actually cared about you would have recommended from the beginning. Here is what I need you to do right now. First, if this changed the way you think about managing your blood sugar, I need you to tell me. Drop a comment below. Tell me which number on this list shocked you the most. Was it number 1, the cinnamon study? The turmeric trial where 0%, progressed to diabetes? Tell me. I read every single comment. Second, think about someone in your life right now. A spouse, a sibling, a friend from church, someone who is fighting blood sugar issues and has never, not once, been told about any of this. Share this video with them. Not for me, for them. Because the algorithm is not going to show this to the people who need it most. The pharmaceutical industry's ad budget makes sure of that. The only way this reaches them is if you send it yourself. Third, if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. I release videos like this regularly, evidence-based, fully cited, no selling, no fear-mongering, just the research your doctor should have shared with you years ago. This is Senior Health Blog, and you just proved that the truth still matters. I will see you in the next one.